right, welcome back to All Hitches, NoVA's #1 football podcast. Coach Mesa, what's up, buddy?
How are you? How are you been? Doing well, right?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Life is good, my friend. Life is good. Just plugging along, waiting for spring break. So wake me up in about a month.
2 months. We got 2 months until spring break.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Tell me, what do you do on Sundays post Super Bowl? Is it we're not quite yard work time. It's a little too chilly. Is it just hanging around, house stuff?
Yeah, I guess, right? Think of the house. I mean, I've been trying to get like grading done on Sundays. I told you last Sunday,
wow. Homework. Look at you.
last Sunday I was grading. Well, like especially when you get like research papers, there's just no time. Like you actually have to read the stuff.
Yeah.
Feedback, and so I've been doing a little grading on Sundays, and then
that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a little stir crazy lately though at home. Like when I don't have anything to do, like all of a sudden I'll start pacing around the house. Like I need to get out and do something. So I don't know. I mean, truthfully, I should probably go exercise because so.
I mean, for me, it's going to be. I got a couple things on the list. I mean, I know it sounds boring and tedious, and it is boring and tedious, but it's garage, right? My garage needs to be cleaned. Got to tidy that up. I'm not going to have a yard sale in the spring, but I do want to. I got somebody to just give away or do something with.
You can always call those companies that come out and pick
up. I'm not putting anyone down. Each person does their own thing, right? I'm not the person. I can clean out my garage, man, and I could find a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone would want to buy it, but when you go like on Facebook, Marketplace, whatever, and someone's like shoelaces, 85 cents. Some people sell everything. I'm not that person. I give a lot away. I can't deal with having to sell it. It just takes too long.
Well, I mean, I think I remember someone on eBay said in your house you can make $1,000. There you have enough items in your house that you don't use it. You can that everybody has at least $1,000 worth of.
What do you mean with like your junk?
Yeah, just stuff that you don't use anymore. I remember someone said on eBay, you can probably find $1,000 of stuff that you.
Yeah, I got a lot of junk in my garage that I don't need. I need to clear stuff out. So that's and then I got a lot of old shoes in the front closet that need to go. Old jackets. I just need to make room. So my wife and I, and we used to have a podcast. My wife and I, and we would talk about stuff, boring stuff sometimes for some people probably, but a lot of couples things, right? And by the way, we're talking about bringing that podcast back, but one of our last episodes was about decluttering, and I think people need to declutter. I mean, like a few times a year, and you got to keep up. You got to keep up with it. And I'm talking about major declutter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've moved a ton, and me and my wife have had, I mean, countless the times we moved. And when you move, you don't realize like how much stuff you actually have until you got to pack up your house and move. Like it's something else.
Yeah, our last move, we got rid of so much stuff.
Yeah.
It was liberating. It felt great. And when we came into this house 5 years ago, we said we need to do this more often. There was nothing, right? I didn't have that much now. 5 years later, I look around with accrued stuff. There's a baby now, and we're like, we got a lot of stuff. So time to declutter. I just wanted to say that. We've got a hell of a show for you today. We got Coach Vossler from Westfield High School. I mean, you talk about a guy who has been at top programs in NoVA, Robinson, Westfield, right? I mean, how close did Westfield come to? That could have been them versus Oscar Smith and the Hail Mary.
Yeah, I mean, I think they played Madison the closest of anybody all year. I don't think no one else even came close to the way they played them. And,
yeah, I mean, they could argue they should have beat Madison twice.
Yeah, and when I first came here and I saw him at Robinson, I was like, that guy really knows how to run a program. And I mean, I'm sure everyone's gonna be really interested in what he has to say. And like I said, he's it's gonna be pretty good to listen to.
Yeah. So sit back, get your coffee, enjoy this interview with Coach Scott Vossler from Westfield High School. So we got Coach Vossler from Westfield High School. Had a great season last year, joining us today. We are very excited to have you, Coach. How's it going?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. watch every week. Try to get on there and see what you guys are talking about. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great. So this is every head coach's favorite time of year. It's fundraising time, right?
Yeah.
It's every coach's favorite time of year, fundraising time. How's fun? Out of curiosity, what's fundraising like for you? Like, what are you doing?
So our big fundraiser that we do is a discount card. We get area restaurants, businesses to kind of put some type of deal on there, and then in the fall we sell it. So I'll start here probably around spring break,
Okay.
locking all those deals in, making the connections with the people in the community. Last year was very difficult because I was brand new, so I was starting
Yeah.
all over again. Had some parents in on our team who had some connections already with places, and that helped us out. But it takes a little bit of time just making sure that we got all the agreements, set in stone, and we got the paperwork done. And once we get those locked in, then we get the cards printed kind of right at the end of the school year.
Yeah.
And then we go sell them when we get back into to camp, and that's generally our big fundraiser, and we've done pretty well with it over the years.
So
yours is more localized, right? I mean, because I know some people have the generic ones. It sounds like yours is actually more localized to your community.
Yeah, we try to localize it to the community, and we go get them all ourselves.
That's what
Because there are some options where you can like have an outside company do it, but then they take a cut of what you bring in. The way we found, if we do it this way, it is a little more legwork, but we're keeping 99% of everything we raise.
Awesome.
And so, our only expense is whatever we pay to get the cards printed. So it works out, and I feel good about doing it that way because when we go sell that card to someone, we can say every dollar that we raise is coming back to our program. And it's been really good for us. Our kids get into it. We give awards for meeting certain standards when they go out and sell. And it was funny. Last year, I was at school while all our kids were out selling, and they don't know where who lives where, but they're going door to door. And somebody came to my house, one of my players, and sold my wife a card. So it was good.
So you live in the in your school district?
I live like 1 mile from school.
Oh, that's great.
There are a lot of things with when you have little ones. I got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. Like coaching, the logistics of coaching, it gets tough.
Oh, for sure.
And when you live close, some of those logistical issues, they're much easier to deal with.
Boy.
Both girls. Both girls.
So oddly enough, we're having this conversation with Coach Overton, and I was telling him I've been coaching for 25 years, 26 years, high school. I feel like football coaches have girls by and large more than they do boys for some reason. And again, another person, Overton has a girl.
Yeah,
I have a girl. You have 2 girls.
I have 3 girls. Yeah.
I just feel like there are more times we're sitting in there in the office and the guy's like, I got to go to softball. I got to go to volleyball.
Right. I got to go to field hockey.
I got to. Yeah. It's wild how that works out. I don't know why that is, but it just seems.
Yeah. We had the 2 girls, and we were debating having a third.
Yeah.
And COVID hit, and we were locked inside with a 6-month-old and a 1.5-year-old for 3-4 months or whatever. And we were like, I think we're good. You
don't want to do the dash plan, huh?
Yeah.
Go for 5, buddy.
Yeah.
Go for 5.
Oh man, 2's enough right now.
I'm a shell of a man right now. Shell of a man. So this actually, and we started with that. And actually, I'm glad Mason started with that question because I was going to ask you, anyways, about coming. And I know that we're getting into year 2 now, but when you come to a big program, right, an established program, and a legendary program in Northern Virginia, do you bring? Again, you're not a new coach. You obviously had coached before, so they have things that they do, and whether it's the fundraising or even other things, right? Putting decals on helmets. People have their own kind of traditions for doing these things. How do you kind of mesh that with things that you've done, but things that at Westfield maybe are viewed a certain way and you got to do it?
Yeah, and I think that's really tricky. starting out at Robinson, I had the opportunity to do it there first because you kind of had the same.
Yeah, that's
You had a
true.
history, you had the
Right.
tradition, you had things. Um, and I learned a lot in that experience, and that's really helped me. And I think one of the things that you try to do is take everything in first. So this first year, there are a lot of traditions and things that happen at Westfield, and I didn't want to come in and throw those out without ever partaking in them. Um, and so a lot of the stuff that the parents and the players and we kept several coaches that they expressed that they felt like they were important. We made sure that we tried to replicate the same things that they had done in previous years. And to be honest, most of them were great. Like we team meals, how we do that. Um, helmet decals. Like that's one thing. Like I was head coach at Robinson. Now I'm the head coach at Westfield. Like you don't mess with those helmets. Like those are they mean a lot to a lot of people, and I think that's something that you want to keep going. So little things like that you try to keep going, and then you evaluate right as time goes on. What's working for our current group of kids, and I think that's one of the best questions I got asked when I interviewed um, for the job was we have this tradition and we have a lot of these culture things that are going on in our program. Like, how do you keep those going? And you keep those going by honoring them, by involving those people that have been in the program in the past. But you do constantly need to be evolving yourself because today's student athlete and tomorrow's student athlete are not the same kids that went through Westfield in 2007. And they have different wants and needs. So you want to build your program up on the foundation of that stuff that was there. But as you build the rest of the structure, I think you got to be willing to make a couple of changes because times are different, people are different. But as long as you still have that identity, I think people look back at it and they say that's still the Westfield program that I remember.
Yeah.
So it's tricky, but
Yeah.
it's something that I think is probably as important to anything that we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point as far as like, especially when you walk into a program that's steeped in tradition. And I think the helmet in particular, right? I think you can look at college, right? Penn State is wearing the same helmet they've been wearing for years. Notre Dame is not changing from the gold. USC is not changing. There are certain programs that is the helmet that is recognizable, and it's part of the tradition. I mean, and even in the NFL, right? I mean, there's certain teams. The Steelers don't mess with that helmet, right? They are steeped in tradition. And I think a lot of times when you come into the program, I know, I've walked into situations where you want to kind of make it your own, but there's certain things, especially when you walk into a program that's established, especially like a Westfield, you've got to have some respect. And oddly enough, me and I was talking with Coach Van Acker one time, and he said that the same thing. He said a mentor coach of his told him, look, you walk into a program that's been around for a while, and if they've had the same helmet for 10, 15 years, don't touch it. He was like, you can mess with uniforms, all that stuff can change. He said, but that's a signifying thing. And I think that just kind of brings about the community as well, right? When the guys come back, they're like, that is something that's recognizable to me, right?
Correct. And I think all that stuff's important. You want those people that put their blood, sweat, and tears into the program, the coaches, the players, the administrators, the staff at the school. If they've gone, retired, moved away, graduated, you want them to be able to come back and still feel like this looks like my team. And it's not just a helmet. Like, one of the things I remember playing when we played against Westfield was just class act organization. Kids played hard, played with great sportsmanship and great effort. And we got to make sure we do that every week because when Tyler Scanlon comes back and sees one game a year, we want him to recognize what the program looks like. So I think that stuff's important, and that's how you kind of keep the culture going.
Yeah. How's offseason going right now? I mean, what are the numbers looking like right now, weight room wise? I mean, what are you guys going through right now? I know we talked a little bit before when we were at the championship game, kind of.
Yeah.
But now we're in the thick of it. Where are you guys at as far?
So we've been going 3 days a week after school lifting. Most of our kids are in PFIT too, so we got guys double dipping in the weight room. Um, we're getting very good turnout. I think we had, last I checked, we had like 38 guys that were 85% or better attendance every day.
That's really good.
Um, so we're doing well. Our JV team was undefeated, so we have a good group of kids that just, that jump from JV to varsity is big.
Yeah.
It's a big hurdle, and getting their bodies ready to be able to play our schedule that we have each and every year. So we have some development we need to do, but the kids are putting the work in. Feel good about where we're at, but it's February. So what's good right now won't be good enough in April.
Yeah.
Well, that actually leads me to ask you. So, and everyone's got their own philosophy, their own take on things in the off season, right? They're going to go heavy on 7-on-7s. They're going to go heavy on big man camp. Some people are going to go away for team camp. Some people are going to stay at school for team camp. Kind of the nutshell, right? Like, what is your kind of your off season philosophy?
I'm a big weight room guy, and I think now more than ever, with the way college recruiting has gone, with the transfer portal and extra years of eligibility and the JUCO stuff, I think our kids need to be more developed physically coming out of high school in order to compete with the kids that are 19, 20, 21 years old for roster spots. And one of the things that we've been driving home to kids is, hey, we know you're out there for exposure and you want to go out and play and show people you can play. But what you're ultimately chasing is that college opportunity, and you got to be prepared at that point to compete against 19 and 20-year-olds.
For sure.
And you don't have to be all the way there physically, but if there's a monstrous gap, they're going to take the 20-year-old over the 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And so we've tried very hard to kind of get that point across to our kids that, like, the weight room is an important piece, and it's not something that you can shelve for 6 months and then say I'm going to focus on it later and catch back up. Like, it is a continual build. So I think that's really a different approach than what we used to take in the past in terms of recruiting. But we want to get those guys in the weight room so that they are, when you're a senior and you're an outside linebacker kid and you want to go play in college, the difference between showing up to the summer camp at 180 pounds and 200 pounds might make or break whether they're going to really take you seriously or not.
Yeah. Well,
And I think that's a real change that the football high school world needs to make. And I've heard a couple college coaches speak on it. We're not interested in your film as much as we are what your body looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I know, we've done some of the college coaches, and from Division I, Division III, they're all pretty much saying, we want guys who can play now.
Yeah.
They're not taking projects anymore. They're just not, because they don't have to. Right? I mean, they can take, and like the JUCO rule, they can take a 20-year-old kid as a freshman. And we all know, because we're all grown, and some of us are more grown than others. But when you're 20, after lifting for 2 years, after lifting at a JUCO program, you could decimate an 18-year-old kid.
Yes.
And it's not even close. Just the amount of free testosterone, the body development, the fact that you're able to just kind of get bigger. And I think that's huge. And the other thing I really like what you talked about is, and there are some schools that don't seem to understand this, but being involved in PFIT during the off season is huge to be able to get that lift in. To be able to get that in there.
Especially if you're a multi-sport kid, which I encourage all of our. You're only in high school once, and so like if you don't go play basketball now, like you're not going to get that chance again. Or you don't go play baseball, you're not going to get that chance again. Or run track, or heck, when I was at Robinson, we had kids that were in the drama program, and they did some of that in the spring. And if you're in PFIT, you can keep up with your lifting and still do those things after school. So it enables you to have some freedom and not really feel like you're falling behind. And so we have, I haven't ran the numbers, but we're probably over 75% in PFIT. And then anybody that's not in a sport, we expect them to come to our after school weightlifting. So again, we got some guys that are double dipping, and I tell them, like, I've never heard of a kid that went through a college program. They say, I'd have been a lot better if I lifted less in high school.
Right.
Never come out of anybody's mouth. So those guys that are able to get those double sessions in are getting even more development going on. So I like where we're at, but like I said, it's early in the off season. I've had teams in the past that have started well and then fizzled late in the off season. So we're hoping we can keep it going.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you: are you teaching PFIT over there?
Yeah.
Are you the only PFIT teacher?
No, we have 14 sections of PFIT.
That's where I was going. Good Lord.
Yeah. So we have 4 different teachers in there.
But all 5 of yours are all PFIT. You all 5 for you.
Yeah.
Do you what would you say? I mean, ballpark percentage wise, are football kids per class on an average?
20%.
20%.
20%. I mean, we have a lot of female athletes. We've got tons of baseball and wrestlers, and our track coach coaches some PFIT. Our old basketball coach teaches some PFIT. So we have a wide variety of athlete in there. We also have kids that are just in there to work on their fitness and health. So it is a pretty good.
How many weight rooms you guys got, Coach?
Just one. We double up every block.
I was going to say
we'll have 65 to 75 kids in there at a time. Because there'll be 2 sections going, but we have 24 racks.
Oh, okay.
So, and if you came in sometime, we run a lot of our PFIT classes very similar to how we run our football lifting. We put 3 kids to a rack. If we have 4 sets of 5 on squat, we'll say person number 1, first set, we blow the whistle, that everybody goes. And then we wait, 30 seconds. Then we blow the whistle, number 2 goes, and we run through the class in that fashion. And it kind of keeps with crowd management when you got that many people in there. And it helps. Our football kids are used to that because that's kind of how we lift also. So they can kind of show everybody the way at the beginning of the year, but it allows us to facilitate a large group of people without it becoming kind of a free for all. But it's going well, and our kids work at it whether they're athletes or not, and that's a pretty cool situation.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's good stuff, man. I just spent last week. It's elective time of year, right?
Yeah.
I spent last week doing the spiel. I mean, I don't teach it for at the school, but I'm promoting it, and and I didn't know those numbers. If I would have known that, I would have thrown even more fastballs at them. But I was telling them everyone's got more than we do. And if you guys want to catch up, sign up now. Yeah,
and we have a considerable. I was told last year we had 100 people on the wait list, so it's a popular elective in our building.
Wow.
So it's we can't fit any more sections. Like there's no more periods of school. So it's and that was going on well before I got there. So it's something I think that's been a tradition in that building, and we're lucky to have it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I like that program. I mean, in California, we have football's a class, so football is at the end of the day. And I tell people all the time, if you so the way I used to run it, I could get 50 kids lifted in 50 minutes, but it's got to be organized, going. There's got to be a horn, and the kids have got to move, right? Like there's got to be, and once you build them that routine, you can, So I hear a lot of times coaches are like, well, it takes so much time and this and that. If you're on it, I mean, but as a coach, you've got to be on it. You've got to be on the whistle. You can't be, and not every coach is, but you do have some coaches who kind of take the weight room, kind of tell the kids to lift as they sit there and kind of, talk to the kids. I was like, no, if you run it efficiently, you can get the kids moving, they're sweating, they're going. And and I guess I want to talk one more thing about the PFIT thing. Was that program in where you got there? Was that something that you guys, the teachers, kind of developed with each other? I mean,
so the personnel, like the amount of people and the sections was all there. I kind of brought this whistle thing there. It's funny when during the season, the first thing we do on Monday is we go lift after school, our whole team. So we would put 100 kids in the weight room. And our typical rotation then is we'd have 4 kids to a rack. We're blowing the whistle as soon as they finish whatever lift we're doing in the rack.
Yeah.
they would rotate to the back room and we'd have some type of core or dumbbell exercise that they would do a set of there, and then they would circle back around through the other entrance and come back to their rack. So it was just a constant rotation. But we would lift for probably 35 to 40 minutes. We'd get three exercises at the rack. So, we'd get some type of squat, some type of bench, some type of explosive lift. And then we'd get three core or auxiliary works in the back. And we'd get all that done with 100 kids in like 37 minutes. And then we would go out and we'd start practice then at like 4:05.
Yeah.
But that was but during the season we were lifting Saturday mornings and then Monday after school. And that was pretty consistent. One of the things I think is lost sometimes, and with football, we have, if you make it till Thanksgiving playing football, that's like 17 weeks that you've had these kids locked down in your program for the season. And we always feel like for our younger kids, if we're not taking advantage of that time, making sure that they're getting 2 lifts in a week and developing throughout that time, that we've wasted some developmental time. And what I've noticed with our kids that will be juniors next year, the current sophomore, they're way ahead of where they were in the fall right now because they lifted all season and then they picked up in our off-season program right away. And they've made tremendous gains. And if you can stack year on top of year going forward, like those things really add up. So that's something that we really, really, really try to make sure we get done.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, especially like the 17 weeks. I mean, even for, us regular guys who might do 14 or 15 weeks.
It's a long time.
It's still, that's a time that you don't really think about,
Yeah.
When it's over, you look at it and go, damn, that is lost time. But in the heat of battle, some people they just kind of take it for granted.
Correct. And it's hard. It's definitely a mindset shift that your kids have to kind of go through that, they've been told a lot of adults, people our age or older, like they were taught, you got to maintain during the season or you need to rest during the season, not lift as much. But if you look at any professional athlete or any college program, they'll lift the day of the game if they have to get their lifts in.
Yep.
And it really is, there's not, if you go 15 weeks, there's not 15 straight weeks at any other point in the year where you'll have these kids every single day. And so if you don't take advantage of that time, you're kind of, you're throwing it away. Like all the other times we're going to have winter break, spring break, you've got the red periods. But during the football season, you have an uninterrupted stretch of time where you can really develop kids if you make a plan to do it. And a lot of that comes down to manpower and just, making sure you can't practice till 7:00. So if you're going to lift that first 40 minutes on Monday, like when you get out there on the field, that practice has got to be very efficiently planned and laid out and people got to be ready to go. But if you can do that, I think it's beneficial.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So, I mean, you're right. You'd have to have a plan with be organized with that practice and personnel. In season for you guys, what is that? You said Monday and like another day is like the walkthrough day or Wednesday?
So we lift Saturday morning is our
Saturday. Okay.
So we bring them in at like 8 a.m. and we'll do the same thing. We'll put all 100 kids in the weight room and we'll lift for about 40 minutes and then we'll do a 20-minute core / yoga at the end and then we get them out of there. But we tell them like this, and that's the day we really try to lift heavy. And the thought process, the farthest away from the game that you'll ever be. It also, we like it. If a kid comes back in and he's dinged up, because sometimes on Friday night you don't know, right? But then we come in Saturday morning, and if he's still on crutches and he can't put any weight, we start to know that, hey, we better start planning not to have him. But there's also times where a kid got dinged up and he comes in Saturday and he's moving pretty good, and you're like, he's probably going to be okay. So it helps us kind of get thinking about the next week. We can get in and get them some, if they need treatment, we can get some of that stuff done Saturday to get that process started. So, and that was a change. They used to not come in on Saturdays. So that was something that was new. But a lot of our kids, I felt like by middle of the season, they really started to enjoy it because it kind of helped them get over the previous game and start moving forward.
Yeah. Players this year. Who do you have moving on to the next level? Who do you have?
So Connor Morant's going to Furman.
Okay.
He was a safety and wide receiver for us. Tremendous player. Um, Troy Lucas looks like he's going to be going to Slippery Rock. He was a linebacker for us.
Yeah.
And then we got 4 or 5 other ones that are still mulling some Division III stuff right now. We'll kind of see where they end up. But we had a really good group of seniors this year. They were all a little vertically challenged. They weren't super tall, and that I think
That's my kind of guys right there, Coach.
that kind of limited their scholarship opportunities. I think at some point, but you couldn't find a more talented group of kids. So Huda Johnson, Eli Cofield, Kennedy Duda, Amir Rafi. There were numerous guys we had over there. Really
Oh,
good.
Duda was the one. Mason, you were asking me the other day.
Yeah. I mean, because he had a great year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, where he's going to be playing next year. I mean, I'd imagine he's going to play somewhere next year. I mean,
Yeah, he's got a couple options. He's trying to, figure out
yeah.
the finances, the major, all that kind of stuff, the pieces. So he's super, super talented kid, great feet, very good speed. He ran 4.51 at some camp, like laser camp stuff. So he can really run. So I'm excited for all those guys. I think they're going to be great. When you coach, and you guys are probably kind of which kids college is going to be a good setting for them, and then which ones like this is going to be hard for them. And this group, they're all like true blue football player kids that like the weight room, that show up on time to stuff. Like they're not going to be kids that get to that college level where the discipline cranks up a little bit more and the expectation cranks up a little more. These guys aren't going to have issues with any of that. So I feel good about wherever they end up. They're going to end up reaching their potential.
Okay.
Now, returning guys, who are the guys to look out for this year, Coach?
Yeah, we have our quarterback is back, Ryan Carlson. We felt like he had a great year for us. We think the world of his leadership and
He got better and better every week.
Yeah, makes good decisions. We can put stuff on him, and he can get us into the right stuff. So we're excited about having him back. We return a couple skill kids on offense. We have the Thompson, Hayden, and Connor Thompson, the twins. They play some tight end, some wide receiver for us. They're kind of hybrid type kids. They're going to be really good players for us again. In the backfield, we played a couple young kids really at the end of the year. We played Malachi Lee with freshman for us. Played a lot. Scored 4 touchdowns, I think, in our 2 playoff games. He's going to be a special player. And then we played 2 other backs, B.J. Johnson and P.J. Sutherland, kind of filled in when Kennedy got beat up and did a great job. So we feel good about our skill offensively. We do lose 4 offensive linemen, but we got some guys that are working on filling those spots. Defensively, we lose quite a bit in the back end. We lost 3 3-year starters in the secondary. But we got some guys that we think coming back that played some for us this year. That'll be good back there. Wesley Flamer was sophomore linebacker that was first team all district for us this past year. We think he's going to be a scholarship football player down the road. Jake Brubaker's back on the D line. Jason Lardy's back on the edge. So we've got some guys back on defense as well. So we're not gonna. We shouldn't have a talent problem. I don't think.
I don't think so either, Coach.
Yeah,
with 85 sets of PFIT and an undefeated JV team, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah. So we're hoping we have a young group of D linemen that played really well for us on JV. That we're excited about what they're going to be able to do this next year, and our coaches over there, we feel pretty good about that. They know what they're doing. Coach Verbanik and Coach Bendorf and Coach Price. There's like 1,000 years of coaching.
I was gonna say you got the all-star team of coaches
Yeah,
there,
so
right?
I mean, it's a good situation that we're in. Like I feel whatever the ceiling of that group of kids is, we'll be at it come November.
I mean, it's always nice to have that much experience because unfortunately, in the day we live in today, that's just not the case, right? I mean, we've been talking a ton, just with other people and just kind of what I know. Finding coaches nowadays is just it's so difficult. I mean,
Coach, it's
when
it's
I play
impossible.
when I
It
played,
really is.
almost the whole staff, I mean, graduated in '93, were teachers. I
Yeah,
mean, the whole staff from, I mean, I think we had one coach who was a police officer, but for the most part, everybody was on campus. And nowadays, you're lucky if you have three on campus guys, and then and the other cast of characters kind of rotate in because life happens, right? I mean,
yeah,
who gets off work at 2:30?
yeah.
Nobody gets off work at
Yep.
2:30. Yeah, so I mean, I mean, it's pretty nice to have that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest difference that I see from my time at Robinson to the the level of coaching that goes on right now at Westfield is uh is impressive, and it isn't me. I mean, we just have a lot of like
Oh, I think you're
we
so.
have we have Mike Lawley on offense, Brian Day is over there. So you know I have a couple new guys I think we're going to add into our like we might have 7 or 8 guys with head coaching experience on staff. And that as the head coach, uh, I'm able to put you know responsibility on people, and I sleep well. Like I don't worry about it. It's if I say Tom Verbanek, hey, I need you to make sure our kickoff return is set. And we ended up returning 2 or 3 kicks for touchdowns. Pete Bendorf, you're going to coordinate our defense. I need you to be able to run our punt return team. And we returned 2 punts for touchdowns. Phil Brady, you're going to be in charge of our kickoff and our special team scouting. And I'm getting 5 or 6 page scouting reports every week, Sunday night on the other upcoming opponent. So we have some real advantages um, with our coaching staff, and we're lucky as hell to have those guys, and it's my job to just keep them all happy and keep them here at Westfield because it's super beneficial for our program and our kids to have those guys out there with their expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with the kind of players that you guys graduate, I mean, year after year after year after year, you guys probably also, I would imagine, have guys that come back and say, hey, can I coach JV? Can I coach freshmen? You probably got, younger alums coming in and coaching.
Yeah, so I'm new, so it's kind of harder for me sometimes to sort some of that out, but I think that staff has been so stable over the years too that they haven't always needed our freshman staff right now. I have a guy that's been doing the job since 2008. He's in the building, a teacher. Jason Sackles does a great job. And then his number one assistant is Keith Shoulders, who is coached forever. He's our head wrestling coach, probably the hardest working guy in Fairfax County. Um, so we have a lot of people that you would feel like if your kid was there, you would feel really good about the level of coaching that they're getting. And I'm not trying to give a recruiting pitch or anything. I find myself sometimes at practice. I've made the practice plan, I got it rolling, and sometimes I just stop and look around and see like it's the machine's working.
Yeah, that's nice.
So
That's really nice.
it's a really good situation.
Yeah. Uh, so you spent a lot of time in the Patriot. Now you're in the Concord, and I was just looking it up. And in the 2000s, Oakton has 2 state championships. Centerville has 2. Westfield has 5, and then Madison, obviously, if not for running into the buzzsaws at
Yep.
Freedom, and then it was right there with us this year. Probably should have. So I mean, you're talking about could have potentially 8 out of the last 25 years. I mean, what's it like coaching? I mean, as opposed to the Patriot. Not that the Patriot's not difficult. Patriot. I mean,
My last couple years in the Patriot, I do think the Patriot was very deep.
Yeah.
You know, Fairfax was on the rise. South County was really good. Braddock was really good. West Potomac was playing good football. Robinson, we were playing good football. West Springfield was playing good football. So I felt that conference was very, very good when I left. Coming
Sure.
over to the Concord, it's a lot of the same. I would say the difference, because it's funny, when I started at Robinson, we were in the Concord. And then we switched to the Patriot after
Okay.
like my third year. So I
Okay.
was in the Patriot for 5 or 6 years, and then now I'm back. So I've kind of bounced back and forth between the two. Um, the physicality and the line play, I think, is a little stronger in the Concord.
Okay.
I think there's more athletes and more overall skill in the Patriot.
Okay.
And so, like, there's people that really can get away from you in the Patriot, and the scores would just run up on you, and it's scary. And then I think in the Concord, you worry about getting beat up. Like,
Yeah.
are we going to be able to withstand some of the force there? But I think a lot of really good programs, really good coaches, a lot of people that I really respect, over the years that not only like do a good job on the field, but they're also just really good guys. And you enjoy the competition between them.
Yeah.
So, I think there's any given year,
Yeah.
which conference is better. I don't know. I don't know if that's always clear.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about, off season. We talked about, leading up to the season, all that stuff. Now let's go. You had a great season last year in year one, right? I mean, you guys were right there. That could have been you guys, and I'm sorry to remind you of that, but that's a compliment, right? I mean, that could have been you guys, right, in that game. I mean, that's how good you guys were. I mean, we watched that final game together.
Yep.
What are things that you kind of want to see, right, from your squad in year two to kind of, take you, over that hump?
Yeah, I think we need to get more physical on both sides of the line of scrimmage. I think when the games that we lost, we struggled to run the ball when we had to run it, and we struggled to stop the run when we needed to be able to stop it. Both of those Madison games, I think combined, I mentioned this in the final, I think we had like 7 fourth down and shorts in those games, and I think we converted 2 of them. Combined, and transverse, I think they had like 5 and converted 5. And that was probably the difference in those games. Felt the kind of the same way against Patriot. We struggled to kind of do anything easy running the football, and then they really took it at us, and were able to get what they wanted running. So I think that's a big part, and that's a big part why we're trying to stress the weight room piece a little bit more. But I think ultimately for any team that I've ever coached in any, our goal is to reach our ceiling. And like you don't really know what that is, I don't think, until you start getting out there and seeing where you're at in the fall. But you want to be able to kind of progress and then get to the postseason and be playing your best football and leave it all out there. And I think, we lost close games to Madison, but I don't think any of us went home saying like, yeah, we could have won those games, but we didn't not win because we dropped the ball. We lost to a good football team that played well. And at the end of the day, that's what reaching you can find some satisfaction in that. I think, and that's our goal, right? So this team, I think next year probably has a similar ceiling. Like, can we get to that point where we're competing with one of the best teams in the state and we're taking it to them? And the way the ball bounces or a certain play might win us the game or lose us the game, and we're not going to get hung up so much on the outcome. But like, can we get ourselves there and compete and play hard and play with the pride that Westfield's always played with? And I think if we do that, like, we'll take what result comes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I remember talking to you last year, early, I think it was after Patriot, I think, and you're like, look, it's year one, freaking month one, and let's see how we are in a couple months. And you guys got better and better, so I'm looking forward to seeing you guys this year, and I think you guys are going to make some noise. You're going to make some noise, Coach.
Yeah, that's our schedule isn't. I think we play. Five of the five of the final 8 teams in Division 6 from this previous year on our schedule. So we play Patriot again, Madison, Lake Braddock, W&L, and Fairfax. So we've got a good crew. I think Centerville is going to have a really good team this next year as well. So we'll have a good schedule, but the way I think our playoffs are going to be that 4-4 cross. So we just got to make sure we're progressing and we win enough district games to get ourselves in. And I think we'll be in a situation that we're excited about.
The 4-4, that's right. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Did that enter your mind when you made your preseason schedule? That was going to be so. Let me ask you: the 4-4, is that based solely off of district play, or is
yes.
that okay?
Yes.
So I mean that's why you can load up your front end schedule. And
yeah, I mean, to be honest, where we're located, I'll tell you this: when we send in those preference sheets.
Yeah.
So when I was at Robinson, we always put some thought into it, and how are we gonna navigate this? I knew we were going 4-4. We're all the way out on the western edge of the county, right? So like playing some people is just going to Mount Vernon and that's tough travel, right?
Yeah. So
when I filled up my preference sheet, I looked up how far away every school was from. I put them in that order. Because I was like, it doesn't really matter. They're going to match us up with who they match us up with, and I don't really care a whole lot at this point because of how we're doing it. And I'd rather just not on Thursday night JV game have to drive all the way to Mount Vernon or all the way to wherever.
Yeah, I didn't think lower levels.
Yeah, I'm
that's
just
true.
gonna put them in here by the order in which they fall away from my school.
Well, you got the Roy Rogers out there and the Krispy Kreme. You got to make the most of the trip.
But I think that's why we got like Fairfax, because Fairfax was one of the closer. They were higher on our list. Because they're closer.
Right.
But it is what it is. I think with the PowerPoint system previously, if you weren't the first or second best team in your district, I really think you needed to have a plan on your preference sheet in order to try to make sure you had winnable games at times, because there were some that you weren't going to probably be able to be competitive in. But the way we're doing it now, I don't think it matters. I was always a big proponent of let's just go to a 9-game schedule, put everybody in, and then we don't have to you can play whoever you want to get the best gate. But that has its own, issues as well. So
I meant to find out, and I don't know if is it all decided on all the other conferences? Does everyone know if they're 4-4, 5-3?
I'm not sure. I've heard the other region was in some further debate.
Yeah, I heard their debate.
So I don't know, but I think our region was decided relatively quickly.
Well, Liberty's played well recently.
Liberty's played well. They have one more team than we do, also. So
right.
If you finish 5th in our district, like how bad do you want to be in to begin with? And I think the cross bracketing also is good. We ended up. And I think this past year we had Madison, Chantilly, and us all in the top of the one side of the bracket. So this will at least you potentially might eliminate some of the replaying of games in the first round, which I think is good.
So will it be Concord 1 versus Liberty 4?
Yeah,
that's the way it's going. Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least that's what I've been told. So
yeah.
But which I think is good for everybody. I think that keeps like I don't need to play Madison twice every year. I will, but I don't need to do it before I have to.
Right. It makes sense, especially in that region. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that there is reason to debate on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this:
have
we played Herndon in the first round of the playoffs, and
Oh, it was a good game.
like looking at, they look like a Concord team. Like they have big, strong kids. They're well coached. Like they, so I don't think there's like these huge,
Yeah.
gaps between the top half of each conference. There's more probably similarities than differences.
Right. Well, Liberty has Yorktown, who's
Yeah,
the
W&L's been really good.
Right.
WL's arrived.
And
have arrived.
McLean's been playing better. Marshall's
Right.
been playing better. So like
Right.
Yeah.
there's teams over there that you could argue on any given night can compete. So
Yeah.
I don't think, like you said, I don't think for us doing the 4-4, I think it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, good stuff, man. I appreciate you coming on today and kind of chatting up a little bit and talking about this stuff. This is a lot of good information here. I'm already planning on talking to some of my colleagues tomorrow about weight training and just how jealous we are of the numbers you guys.
So we've had people come by and check us out. And people are always welcome to, if you want to swing in and see it happen. It's, every school's different in how you're set up and the personnel that you have and the personalities that you have. And so what works for us may not be transferable everywhere, but it seems to be a good setup for our building right now.
Cool.
Well, hey, let's get together again, closer to summer.
Yeah.
We're kind of maybe Mason and I are thinking about doing a little camp tours. Maybe we'll stop by.
Hey,
and do a
we're
little
gonna
tour.
have the combo camp out at LC Lawrence Park the last week of school. The week we have all the early release days.
Yeah.
It'll be us, Chantilly. Not all these guys are confirmed, but they usually come. Us, Chantilly, Centerville. Robinson has come in the past. There's talk about Lake Braddock and maybe even Battlefield joining us.
Wow.
So that would be if you guys wanted to come out and you can interview some coaches, see some. I mean, it's a padded camp, which is pretty
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
But it should be a good situation as long as it's not like 1,000,000 degrees out there.
Right. I will be wearing my Panama Jack hat.
But,
hey, good stuff, Coach. We appreciate it, man, and good luck to you guys this offseason.
yep. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Yep.
All right. Wow. Well, look, that was a fantastic interview. Let me tell you, a couple of things I was kind of taken aback by, surprised by, but I shouldn't be. You talk about a physical team like Westfield. Look at those weight room numbers. He quoted us.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that goes to anybody out there listening. I mean, parents or anything else, realize that one of the top programs in the state, the amount of kids who take PFIT. I mean, and how much of a difference it makes towards them.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are always talking about it. You got to be in the weight room. You got to be taking PFIT. The best programs are, and we were just actually just quoted legitimate numbers. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. And
it was great talking to him. I mean, every time we've had him on twice, and obviously he's a good leader of men, right? That's the football coaches always get the good, and I feel like that's who he is.
No, he is a good leader. I mean, with the staff that he has, and he said it, just being able to kind of look around and know he has that staff, but it's not as easy. Some people are like, oh, well, yeah, I could do that. No, it's not that easy. Like you said, you got to be a certain kind of leader to have those kind of guys, on your staff.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. 100%.
And so he does bring that. He does bring, he brings that leadership where you can have, these Hall of Fame coaches on staff, and yet he's still the guy.
Yeah, definitely takes a different kind of coach to do that stuff.
Yeah, that and the fundraising, I like some of that stuff and some of their off-season stuff. The other thing is, one of the themes that we talked about with some of the college coaches that we had on earlier this off-season, you look at the type of players, Kennedy Duda, a lot of these guys that he mentioned that are still kind of deciding and trying to figure it out. A couple of years ago, guys at that caliber aren't figuring out anything.
For sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That they're already signed, sealed, delivered somewhere.
Different world we live in now.
It really is. A lot of good football players. What Coach LaVar said. A lot of good football players out there, trying to find homes.
Yep.
So, yeah. So, good stuff, Coach Scott Vossler. And looking forward to kind of getting out there, in June when they have that multi-team camp. And we can kind of go to it, maybe check out them and Battlefield and a couple other
100%.
schools.
Yeah. We'll definitely be making the rounds. I think we got a few places we're going to be going to so far.
Doing our camp tours. For the camp tours, what we need to do? We need to get mics like this. Let me get this mic off here. We need to get mics like this, and we need to get all hitches on the mic and just go out there and hold it. And it could be a mic that's not even working, and it just looks cool.
It would look cool. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're going to get all hitches right there on the mic. Or maybe I'll get Dash and you get Dan on yours.
There we go.
Like our new logo.
I was waiting for that.
Folks, good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Coach Scott Vossler from Westfield. And we'll do it all again next week, won't we?
We will. Same
all
bat
right.
time, same bat channel.
Same bad time, same bad channel. Well, from Dash and Dan, we'll see you next time at All Hitches.
See ya.